Welcome to Cat and Jess Talk the Best, where we're going to be talking about IMDb's top 250 movies from April 12th, 2018. My name is Kat.
And I'm Jess.
And today we are talking about number 166, The Big Lebowski, which is a crime comedy sport film from 1998. This has an 8.1 on 695,766 votes. So, the mystery line that we are revealing today is from Sunrise. The line was, "Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn." And we did have someone get this correct. It was Mariah Bennett. It's one of our friends from college.
I was like, she better get that right.
It is from Gone with the Wind. So, the only one we have left, the only color we have left for a new one is light blue. So the line is, "There's no crying in baseball."
They just showed that movie, I think, where they're supposed to, in the movie theaters. That's my only hint.
Alright, so the spoiler-free synopsis for this film. Jeff, the Dude Lebowski, is mistaken for Jeffrey Lebowski, who is the Big Lebowski, which explains why he's roughed up and has his precious rug peed on. In search of recompense, the dude tracks down his namesake, who offers him a job. His wife has been kidnapped and he needs a reliable bagman, aided and hindered by his pals, Walter, a Vietnam vet, and Donny, master of stupidity. Alright. So yeah, that's the synopsis.
So this is directed by brothers, Joel and Ethan Coen. They've directed movies like Raising Arizona, Blood Sample, and one coming up pretty soon at 161 is Fargo.
Yeah.
This stars Jeff Bridges, John Goodman, and Julianne Moore.
Yep. And actually, we have quite a few actors.
There's a lot of big actors in this movie.
Yeah, we'll talk about them later, but there's quite a few that we're going to end up having again, or we have already had. So when we get to podcast trivia, I'll talk about that. So the ratings. On IMDb, 26.4% of users that rated it at an 8. On Metacritic, it has a 71%. On Rotten Tomatoes, it has an 82% on 101 critical reviews. 2 fresh. Dwayne Burge. For those of you who forget how good Bridges was in The Fisher King, here is a reminder. As the gung-ho Nam veteran, Goodman's tenacious, tightly coiled demeanor is smartly explosive and very funny. Okay.
I was like, I like The Fisher King.
I haven't seen that.
It's a Terry Gilliam movie. It's got
Gotcha.
Robin Williams and Jeff Bridges.
Gotcha. Joe Hollerman. I'll just say this. The Big Lebowski is an excellent movie and damn funny. Yeah, I don't agree.
I agree.
That's just me. So 2 rotten, or actually just 1 rotten, because the other ones didn't have a thing. Brian D. Johnson. What made Fargo work, aside from the regional kish, was a solid story and believable characters worth caring about. The Big Lebowski has neither.
That's kind of funny.
I mean, I haven't seen Fargo yet. I've been waiting, but yeah. I can agree about the solid story and the believable characters. I don't think that this movie had that.
Oh, I can see some of them being believable.
I can't.
I was like, I definitely can, but that's me.
So the consensus, typically stunning visuals and sharp dialogue from the Coen brothers, brought to life with strong performances by Goodman and Bridges. Yeah, their acting was good.
Oh, yeah.
So the money The budget was $15 million. Opening weekend, it made $5,533,844. Domestically, it made $18,034,458. Internationally, $28,701,011 for a worldwide total of $46,735,469. So the awards. This had 5 wins and 17 other nominations. Association of Polish Filmmakers Critics Awards. Best Foreign Film. This won an honorable mention, so it didn't win Best Foreign Film, but it was close. Then Awards Circuit Community Awards. Best Actor in a Supporting Role, John Goodman. National Film Preservation Board. This is in the registry as of 2014. Online Film Critics Society Awards. This got 9th place for the top 10 films of the year. And then Russian Guild of Film Critics Best Foreign Film. So yeah, that's all the awards. So initial thoughts.
Okay. I don't remember the first time I saw this. It's been years. I would consider this a cult classic because you either like it or you don't. And I've always liked it, mostly because it's funny to me, and I think it's hilarious. And I was like, where the hell is this White Russian thing coming from? And then I watched this movie, I'm like, oh, that's why. Because I know, like, several college classmates who just love White Russians because of this movie. Yeah.
I've had one, and I do not like them.
It's got vodka in it, so I'm not a fan. But I do like the Kahlua.
I don't like the Kahlua, that's why I don't like it.
What? It's... Oh, coffee.
I don't like coffee. I absolutely hate coffee.
I was like, wait, coffee. There it is. That's why Kat doesn't like Kahlua. But yeah, I've always liked this movie. I think it's a good movie. I love Jeff Bridges. He's a great actor. So is John Goodman. You just have to be open-minded with this movie. That's how I've always felt about it. You gotta be open-minded. And just, like, don't expect a lot. That's what I always say. Because he calls himself the Dude. So, I mean, kind of got, like, that surfer stoner vibe coming from it already, just with that. So, I consider it a cult classic. So, I like it.
I absolutely hated this movie.
And I knew you would.
I really didn't expect anything coming into it because I hadn't seen it before. I'm really glad I hadn't seen it before because I probably will never watch this movie again. I knew that it was about bowling. Kind of. I knew that it had bowling in it. So I was expecting it to be more like that. I feel like I really needed to be drunk or high when I was watching this instead of just watching it because I feel like I lost brain cells watching it. I had to read my book afterwards to gain the brain cells back because I felt like I was stupid after watching that movie. This one's just not for me. Like, there was a couple of times that I laughed, but most of the time I was just like, what in the world is going on? And I didn't really have, I didn't have any expectations going into it, so it's just, I didn't like it. It was stupid. I will never watch it again, and I regret watching it in the first place.
Oh, this is just great to me. Oh.
Yeah, this is the dumbest movie I've ever seen in my life.
Oh, I was waiting for that to happen.
Yeah.
Because I know it's not your type of movie at all.
Sean watched it with me because it was on our little scratch-off list that we have. So I made him watch it with me. Because there's a few of them that have been on this list that have been on our scratch-off list that I have to watch again because I didn't realize they were on the list. But this one I knew was. And he also hated it. So
you two have very similar types of films that you like.
Mine is broader than his, but this one we both equally hated. he's mad at me for making him watch this movie.
Hey, you can at least say that you've watched it.
I don't want to say that I've watched it.
It's on your list, though.
Yeah. Scratched it off, and I will never watch it again. Done. Never again. This is the dumbest movie ever.
Oh, this is so fun to me. It really is. Oh, it's great.
So yeah, that's all I got.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
That was your warning. If you haven't watched the film yet, then stop listening and come back after you've watched it. So we start off in LA, and we get the Sam Elliott voice. He is the stranger.
Yeah.
He's
Sam Elliott.
The narrator. And I'm kind of surprised that this is the first Sam Elliott movie that we have on the list. You know?
Yeah. Weird, huh?
That's okay. But he's like kind of telling us about where we are, and he's like telling us about the two different Lebowski boys. How they're both named Jeffrey, but one is a super rich guy, and then one is an unemployed stoner.
And he calls himself the Dude.
Yeah. So we get started, and it's like 1990s.
Yeah,
like
it's
early
1990.
1990s.
Yeah, 1990.
Okay. And the Dude, played by Jeff Bridges, is in... Well, it doesn't say that this is him specifically, but this is him. Because the other one is rich and would not be caught dead in a grocery store.
No, he's getting, like, at the grocery store. He's, like, looking through, and he's, like, checking. He's, like, getting... It's, like, it looks like he's getting milk, but he's actually getting half and half.
Yeah. One thing I did notice in the grocery store, though, was the little coupon holders right next to the stuff. I have not seen that in forever. Like, they took those away. But I used to love pulling those little things out and, like, taking one from every single one, even though we didn't even need whatever it was. I would just take them.
I would, too. I really would.
So I was pretty excited to see that.
And he gets his half and half. He's writing the check and everything. And this is a Ralph's. And Ralph's are in California, like West Coast things. They're just like in our Colorado area, King Soopers. It's the same thing. It's Kroger.
Yeah, in Texas, it's Brookshire's.
There you go.
So
it's all the big Kroger stuff. I recognized it. I was like, oh, I know Ralph's.
It's all the same. It's just a different name in every state.
That's it.
Which is kind of funny.
Like, it's all the same stuff. You can even use, like, your same numbers for it.
Except for in Texas, there actually are Kroger stores, too.
That's cool.
Yeah. But there's also Brookshire's, which is Kroger brand, too.
Huh. I did not know that.
Yep. Texas actually has real Kroger stores, not just... And Albertsons as well. Because Albertsons is Safeway.
Yeah.
So
he's heading home and everything, and he's like in his house, and like there's people in there.
Yep, and the blonde guy, whatever his name is, the blonde guy like that ends up shoving his head in the toilet.
Yeah.
He played Lucifer in Supernatural.
There you go. There's
and me and Sean were watching it, and he's like, and I was like, do you know who that is? And he's like, no. I was like, look at him. He's like, no, I don't know. He's getting mad because he was already irritated at this point in the movie.
It's not even that far in.
Yeah. He was not enjoying this. I think he hated it worse than I did, so.
Oh, Sean.
But I was like, that's Lucifer. And he's like, oh yeah, it is. He's a lot younger in this.
Well, I mean, it's the late 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah, like shoving his head in the toilet. They're like asking for like money. And he's like, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Because the two thugs are actually after the Big Lebowski, the rich guy, because his wife owes these guys money.
Her name's Bunny.
Yeah.
And he's like, there's another guy that is there. It just pisses on his rug. He's like, aw, my rug. He's like, you got the wrong guy, you know.
Yeah, and then they realize it because they kind of like look around at his house and they're like, oh, no rich person would live here.
Yeah. And so they like leave.
Yeah.
And he's like, wait, okay. And so it goes to the bowling alley.
Yeah.
The bowling alley is like kind of where his place. He meets with his friends. And his friends are Walter, which is played by John Goodman, and Donny, which is played by Steve Buscemi.
Yep. And we have had both of them from Monsters, Inc.
Yes.
Because John Goodman is Sully and Steve Buscemi is Randall.
Yes.
So it's a different setting.
They're not voice acting this time. They're actually acting, you know, as themselves.
Yeah. But yeah. So they're the dude is talking to them about his rug while they're kind of bowling. And Donnie's not really, like, he's kind of trying to pay attention, but he's not really paying attention. And Walter is just mad about everything.
He keeps talking about the Vietnam War.
Yeah. And
like,
they're talking...
Dude, you gotta let it go.
They're talking about the rug and saying how it, like, tied the room together and all that.
Yes.
And Walter eventually talks the dude into going to see the Big Lebowski because he's like, he's the one that should compensate you for the rug because they were after his wife.
Yeah.
He's like, yeah, you know what? You're right.
And so, of course, he does. He goes over there.
Yeah. And this is where we meet his assistant, Brant, who's played by Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Which we've had before.
Yep.
Mary and Max.
Get to meet him, and he goes and introduces... He's, like, showing him all these pictures and stuff that the Big Lebowski has earned. There's even a key to the city, I noticed.
Yeah.
Which is kind of funny.
It's like it shows like all this charity work he does and everything.
Yeah. So then eventually, dude gets to go meet with Big Lebowski, and Big Lebowski's not having it. He's like, I don't owe you anything.
He's like, they're the one, they came after me because they thought it was you.
Yeah.
He's like, I feel like you owe me something. Like, at least a rug.
Yeah. And, Big Lebowski's like, no, go away. Pretty much.
And so the dude, like, talks to Brent. He's like, oh, yeah, he just told me I can pick out any rug I want.
Yeah. So he's leaving with the rug, and we get to meet Bunny. She's out by the pool.
Painting her toes.
Yep, and she wants the dude to blow on her toes to dry the paint. And then she says that she will give him a blowjob for $1,000.
And she's like, he can't watch unless he pays.
Yeah.
She's referring to Brant. I'm like, oh, goodness.
Yeah. So she will do literally anything for money. And dude's like, oh, okay, yeah, well, let me go to the bank. And then he leaves. So, then we're back at the bowling alley, and Walter has brought his dog, or his wife's dog, because she's on vacation with her new boyfriend.
It's like a prize-winning dog. It's like,
yeah,
really?
It's a show dog, so he's like, I can't board it. Like, it can't go in the kennel or anything like that. I'm like, okay. And, so they're bowling and everything, and one of the guys that's bowling, like, does a foul. He steps over the line a little bit, and so Walter is, like, trying to tell him to mark it as a foul, and the other guy's like, that wasn't a foul, that was an 8. You need to mark it as an 8. So Walter just pulls his gun out on him.
Yeah.
And then they continue. He's like, okay, whatever. Put it as 0.
He's like, it's a 0. It's like, there's rules.
Yeah. So they leave because he pulled a gun. And they're like trying to act casual as the police are showing up.
Oh, yeah.
And those cops, I feel like they took forever. Because it seemed like that was a long time for cops to show up when a gun has been pulled in a public place.
I was like, oh, yeah, they're just like in the car chilling, talking. Cops show up. It's like, really? It took you a while?
Yeah.
It's like to finish their game. They're already outside.
Yeah.
A little too late.
So, afterwards, back at Dude's apartment, he's sitting there drinking his White Russian, which he drinks like 10 or 15 of these in a movie.
Yeah. He likes his White Russians. Or he calls them Caucasian.
Yeah.
Calls it that also.
So, he's listening to his phone messages, and he gets one from the dude at the bowling alley that caused Walter to pull his gun out. And also, then he gets one from Brandt asking the dude to call him, saying it's not about the rug. Saying they need his help with something. Then another message about Walter being belligerent. And then Dude's doorbell rings and his landlord, who seems to be afraid of him.
Kind of just like there. He's like, so I have like this dance thing I get to do, and also rent's due.
Yeah. And he's like, oh yeah, I'll be there, and I'll get your, whatchamacallit, I'll get your rent for you. He's like, I'll be at your little performance, and I'll get your rent. I'm like, okay. So, Dude decides to go to the bowling alley. Or not the bowling alley. Big Lebowski's mansion to see what they want.
And the Big Lebowski says that they received a fax and it's a ransom note.
Yep.
For Bunny.
Yeah. And he's like, oh, well that sucks. But he doesn't even really care. He's like, we need you to be the money guy. We need you to go to drop off the money so she can come back. Because they want him to see if it's the same people that came and peed on his rug. He's like, oh, okay, I guess I could do that. Because they're going to pay him $20,000, I think. Yeah. I'm like, shoot, I'd go do that.
He's like, okay, sure. And, it goes back to the bowling alley, and this is where you meet a certain character. Yeah. This character always cracks me up every time I watch it. You meet Jesus, Quintana, and you get a little backstory on him, too.
Yeah. He went to prison for exposing himself to an 8-year-old.
Yes. And he had to go door to door and tell everybody about that. And he's in the bowling league and everything. Yeah. And this guy's just a character.
Yeah. This guy is what the second movie is based on.
Really?
Yes. Is this guy.
Okay.
So, yeah.
You have to tell me about it in a little while.
Yeah. But yeah, so Jesus doesn't like Walter and Donny and the dude. So they kind of are griping at each other. And they're going to play each other next in their little bowling league tournament. They're supposed to play each other next. And so Jesus is like, well, you're about to get beat. Like, bad. And then I liked, there was one line there that I did like, that I keep seeing memes of. So.
And so, the Jew's telling his friends how he's gonna get money, and he gets to keep the rug. He's got a beeper, and when the beeper goes off, and everything, he has to go do that stuff.
Yep. And Walter does not seem to like Bunny, even though he's never met her.
No, and they're thinking that this is all fake.
Yeah.
That she just kind of just left on her own, and just faking it.
Yep. And so then they're done at the bowling alley, and Dude is back at his apartment, and he's laying on his rug and stuff and listening to, it sounds like somebody bowling, and I just like wrote down and like I looked over at Sean. I was like, "Hey, look, it's ASMR before it existed." He just shook his head at me. He sees Julianne Moore's character, which is the Big Lebowski's daughter.
Yes, her name's Maud.
Yep, she shows up and punches him in the face and takes the rug. And this is where we get this like flying scene.
Yeah, he's knocked out dreaming about this.
Yeah. And Sean informed me that this also occurs in How I Met Your Mother,
Yes.
which I don't remember, but he's seen that show way more times than I have, so I'm going to trust him on that. Because he was like, "Oh, this is where it comes from." I was like, "What are you talking about?" He's like, "How I Met Your Mother. Barney and Marshall did this." I was like, "Oh, okay, whatever." I don't know what you're talking about.
Yep, he's flying over LA and everything.
Yep. There's like bowling ball everywhere, and then he ends up in the bowling ball and like on the bowling ball return thing where it comes back and you like sit there and wait for your turn. And he's standing on there and he has to not get hit by the bowling ball, so he stands super straight and ends up in one of the little 3 finger holes. And then he's in there and the ball gets rolled down the lane, and then all of a sudden he hits the pins and everything. So yeah, that's his little dream.
He's like, and his beeper wakes him up.
Yep. He has to go to the mansion again and talk to Brant, where he explains that the exchange is about to happen that night and stuff. And that they're going to give him the briefcase of money and a phone so that the kidnappers can call him. And that it's only supposed to be him.
Yeah, that doesn't happen.
No.
Now he picks up Walter.
Yeah. So, yep. He picks him up from a little convenience store or something like that.
Yeah, Walter has like this briefcase, like his leather one. And like this package he has wrapped up. Don't know what it is yet.
I could tell what it was. I could tell it was a gun.
Well, I know, but saying.
Yeah. But he shows Dude that his briefcase is full of dirty underwear and that they're gonna throw that out the window or exchange that for Bunny instead of the actual money. Dude's like, that's a no. He's like, but then we get to keep $1 million. And so they get the call from the kidnappers telling them where they need to go, and Dude is dumb and says that he's not alone. So the kidnappers hang up, and then of course Dude thinks that he's pretty much killed Bunny and he's not going to get paid. But the kidnappers call again and tell him where to meet them, kind of like where to drive and stuff. And then as they're getting closer to the location, they're coming up on this bridge, and the kidnappers call again and say to just toss the suitcase of money out the window.
Oh, yeah, over the bridge.
Yeah. To the left, I think. And so they do, but it's not the real briefcase, it's the wrong one, because Walter decides that's what they're gonna do, and as that's getting thrown out, he jumps out of the car with his gun, and his gun's just going off.
And he shoots at the car and everything, and the dude's trying to drive it, and it kind of crashes.
Yeah. And they see 3 motorcycles drive off, and he's like, Dude gets out of the car and is like showing, hey, here's the briefcase and everything. But they're not listening because they're on motorcycles. And then Walter just gets up and he's like, let's go bowling.
Let's go bowling.
Well, that's a good solution to your problems.
I mean, so they go to the bowling alley.
Yeah.
And the phone keeps going off.
Yeah. Because the, Brant, I guess, is trying to get a hold of him to see if it was a success or not, I guess.
Yeah.
So he keeps, like, trying to call him and stuff. But dude's not answering the phone because he's upset and he thinks that Bunny is dead.
Yeah, and Donnie's there with him. He's telling him, like, oh, we're going to have to play next Saturday. And Walter's like, yeah, I can't do that.
Yeah.
It's a day of rest. I
It's,
can't do it.
yeah, because he's apparently Jewish because his last wife was Jewish. Or his ex-wife was Jewish.
His ex-wife is Jewish. He's like, weren't you born, like, Catholic?
Yeah.
That part cracks me up.
And then also, Walter convinces Dude that Bunny's just going to end up coming back when she gets bored of wherever she's at.
Yeah.
That she's not really kidnapped.
Yeah. And after they finish and everything, they go out and they see the car's missing.
Yep. Car's gone.
Car's gone. He's like, I'm all just like, well, it was in a handicapped spot, so maybe it was towed.
Yeah. And so, Dude's upset, so he walks home. He decided to call the police. So the police are there. He's doing his little interview about his car, because his car got stolen. And they're taking notes and everything. And he tells them about the car and, like, what was in it. Except for he won't really say what was in it.
Like, he talks about, like, the music he had in the car and, like,
Yeah.
a briefcase, but not what was in the briefcase.
Yeah. And then he also talks about his rug being missing, but how it's separate incidences. And then Maud calls and says that she took his rug. And the cop's like, well, there's that.
It's like, there is that. Then he goes to her, like art studio or something.
Yeah, like her loft or something like that.
And he, like, sees she's flying up above him naked with 2 paintbrushes.
Yeah.
And she's, like, just splattering paint on this canvas as she flies over him.
Yep.
Like, art.
Yep. So they talk about, when she gets down, they talk about the rug.
And why she took it. She's
Yeah.
like, it has sentimental value to me. Because, I gave it to my mother, and she's dead. So.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, that makes sense.
Yep.
But you didn't have to, like, hit the guy.
Yeah, she's talking to him about her stepmother, Bunny, saying that she used to be a porn star.
Yep. Even shows a video and everything.
Yep, she shows him a video. It's interesting.
I'm like, it's the beginning part of it. There's nothing bad.
All those movies are bad. That's not the purpose of them, but all those movies are bad. So
yeah.
But so Maud is telling him that she thinks that Bunny kidnapped herself.
And she just wants the money.
Yeah.
And so she proposes to the dude. She's like, if you can get the money back, I'll give you, like, 10% of it. Which is, like, $100,000.
Yeah, so he's like, oh, okay.
And she gives him this, writes down, she's like, you should really get, like, checked out by a doctor. She's like, here, go to my doctor. Don't worry about anything.
Yeah. And he's like, well, it doesn't really hurt anymore. She's like, just go.
Just go. It's like, okay, then.
So he leaves, and he gets to take her limo.
Yes.
We see that there is a blue bug, like a blue Volkswagen bug, driving behind them, like kind of following them. And before they can really even do anything about it, he gets shoved out of the limo he's in into another limo.
Where the Big Lebowski is.
Yep. And they tell him about him knowing that he knows that the money never got transferred. And he accuses Dude of stealing the money himself. And Dude's like, well, this is what happened. Basically.
And he's like, I got the theory that, she just kidnapped herself. She just wants the money.
Yeah.
And he gets handed, this envelope. And inside of it is a severed toe.
Yep.
With green nail polish.
Yeah.
So it looks like it's from Bunny.
Yeah. And so that makes the dude scared for Bunny's life because he thinks, he messed up and she's about to die. So.
He's like, great.
Yep. And then he's also kind of scared for his own life because he thinks that Big Lebowski is going to kill him.
And he's telling Walter about it too. And Walter's like, psh, you can get a tow anywhere. I can get you a tow by 3 o'clock.
Yeah.
There's that whole scene right there. I'm like, that is great.
Dude is back at home, chilling in the bathtub, listening to music, smoking. And he hears a message from the LAPD calling saying they have found his car. So he's happy and he's going to go get his car back. But as he's getting ready to leave or about to get out of the tub and stuff, he hears this banging. And he sees these 3 guys break into his apartment. They have a ferret on a leash that he keeps calling a marmot.
I was like, that's a ferret.
Yeah, I was looking at it, and he kept calling it a marmot, and I'm like, what? So they put the ferret in the tub, and of course it's scared, and it thrashing around and stuff, and Dude is trying to avoid it and not get scratched, because those things have long nails if you don't trim them.
Yes.
And they hurt.
And he's naked, so he doesn't want to get himself hurt.
Yeah.
Especially where they put it.
Yeah. So they finally take the ferret out and tell Dude that if he doesn't give them their money, then they're going to cut off his Johnson. So yeah, there's that.
He goes and gets his car back, and he's looking. It smells awful in there. So it sounds like someone pissed in there or something. But there's no briefcase.
Yep. So he goes in, picks up Walter and Donny.
But he tells him about what happened at the bowling alley.
Yeah.
Well, this is where you'd meet the stranger.
Yeah.
And, because they're talking, and they go off, and the dude's just sitting there at the counter, drinking his White Russian, and the stranger goes up and is, talking to him a little bit.
Yeah.
And then it goes to, gets a phone call from Maud, and she wants to see him. And he goes over there to see her, and you meet this. This cracked me up because I totally forgot he was in this. His name in the character his name is Knox in the movie, but I was like, it's Lupin.
Yeah,
I got excited about that. And so Maud's telling him that the people that are supposed to be kidnappers are really just her friends, Bunny's friends. And she keeps telling him, you need to go see the doctor already. And he does. So after he sees the doctor and everything, he goes, and he keeps seeing that blue Volkswagen following him. He kind of freaks out a little bit, and he drops a blunt that he was smoking.
Yeah.
In between his legs, so he starts freaking out, and he, crashes the car a little bit. And he finds this paper that's under him, and it looks like from a school assignment. And it's got the kid's name on it.
Yeah.
And Walter, they're at the dancing thing, and Walter's telling him how, where the note, who the note is from. and everything. Like, oh, it's his kid. And so this is where you go to the kid's house and they're asking about the money. They're like, oh, yeah, because the kid's house is right by the In-N-Out.
Yeah.
And they're like, they go to the kid's house and everything. And they're like, you know, Walter's being Walter and everything. They're asking about the money. The kid's like, not saying anything. He's a teenager. And so they see like this nice old car out in the front. And Walter thinks, of course, the kid bought it. And he starts breaking the windows in the car. And the neighbor comes out. He's like, I just bought that car last week. And he gets all mad and starts breaking the dude's car's windows.
Yeah.
Then they get some In-N-Out.
Yeah.
And so he's at his house. The dude's at his house now. And he's on the phone talking with Walter. And he's nailing nails in this board.
Yeah.
He's using it kind of like as like a protection. Almost like to push up like a chair against it. So, you know, like people could trip on it. Or protect himself. Because people keep breaking into his house.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been a few times already. And the people show up anyways.
Because the door doesn't open inwards, it opens outwards.
Yeah. It, like, flings open. And, of course, he has to go with some other people now.
Yeah. Treehorn.
Yes.
He wants to meet him.
Yes. So, he goes to meet Jackie Treehorn. And he's, talking with him. He's like, well, where, you know... Jackie Treehorn's like, well, where's Bunny at? I'm like, guy, everyone's his damn woman. And he's like, well, I think, dude's like explaining what he thinks about the whole thing. Everything. He's like, oh, you know, she just did it herself and everything. And like, Jackie's not buying it. You know, he thinks he's dead behind it. And, you know, he's making them White Russians, and the second White Russian is drugged.
Yep.
And so the dude passes out, and this is where you get... It's probably a pretty famous scene from this.
Gutter balls, porno thing.
Yeah, it's the dude, and it's like a fantasy sequence, a dream sequence. Is this the part where you're saying, what the hell am I watching?
No.
Oh, before this. Okay. Because I would have said this part.
No, I had given up on it at this point.
Oh, okay. I would have thought at this part you would have been like, what the hell is going on? But yeah.
No.
They're like doing like this weird like bowling thing.
Yeah.
There's like these women that have like headdresses and bowling pins and
yeah.
It's a weird little scene, I'll say that. First time I watched it, I was like, what am I watching?
Yeah, it was weird.
And I always say he is tripping. That's what I always say.
Yeah.
Because, like, after he did, like, that, there's, like, these three guys that had been, you know, like, that attacked him with a ferret were, like, chasing it with big scissors.
Yeah. And so he's, like, running down the road, or at least trying to. And the cops pull up behind him.
And he's in the back of the cop car. Because, you know, he just, but, like, they kind of just let him loose. So he had been running. And so he was at the cop car, then at the police station. And, like, what would you call him? Like a captain or something?
The chief of police?
Yeah.
That's what they said he was, the chief of police for Malibu. I just remembered it. A chief of police, the one that throws the cup at him.
Yeah. He's like, stay away from Malibu.
Yeah. So he leaves, and dude's taking a taxi home, and the taxi driver's listening to the Eagles, and the dude is just like, can you please change the station? I hate the Eagles. And so the taxi driver just like stops and pulls him out of the car.
I mean, I might have done the same thing too, actually. I'm like, you hate on the Eagles? What is wrong with you?
Yeah, he gets pulled out of the taxi, and as he's getting pulled out, a red convertible, speeds past, and it, like, goes over to that car, and it's Bunny listening to Viva Las Vegas, and it shows her just, you know, driving and stuff, and then it shows her feet.
Yeah, her feet are nice and fine.
Yeah.
Nothing wrong with them at all.
Yeah. So, dude gets back to his apartment and notices it's completely trashed. And,
he trips over the board he had been nailing.
yeah. And then he gets up and he notices Maud is there in his, dressing robe. And she's like, hey, I need you to have sex with me.
And, like, look, drops the robe. It's like,
Yep.
okay.
So they do, and then afterwards they're laying in bed and he's telling her about his past and stuff and like his hobbies and all that. And he gets out of bed to make a White Russian and she's like holding her legs to herself, like holding her knees up to her chest and like rolling around. And he's like, what in the world are you doing? And she's like, oh, I'm trying to conceive. And he's like, what?
And she's like, don't worry about it. You don't need to be involved. I'm like, okay.
She's like, your part's done. I was just like, oh my god.
Okay, then.
And then,
they're talking about, her dad and everything. She's like, oh, that millions, it was my mom. She was the rich one. It wasn't him.
yeah.
And he's saying that he just runs the charities and all that. He just looks over it. He doesn't have money for himself.
Yeah.
He's like, but my dad is very vain. He's full of vanity. She's like, that's why he has that slut around.
Yeah.
He's like, as you can tell, there's no love lost there.
Yeah. Dude is gonna go... He's gonna go somewhere, but so he like gets dressed and he goes outside and he notices that that blue Volkswagen is parked down the street. So he goes over and talks to him and he's like, why you been following me? And the guy is, he says his name is Defino. He thinks that the dude is a private investigator.
He's and like, playing both sides. Well done.
Yeah.
He's like, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah. Because he's saying that, Defino is saying that he was hired to investigate Lebowski and all that. And so he's asking dude which side he's working for. And dude's like, I don't know what you're talking about.
He's like, well, he was hired by Bunny's real family. Because she went, like, missing. She just left.
Yeah, because she was, like, 15 years old or something like that. Like, she was a teenager and just, like, left.
She just left.
And so they wanted to find her. And he's, like, trying to figure out which family or who dude is working for so that he can get information.
It's like, no. Just stay away, dude.
Yeah.
Just stay away.
Yeah. So we see the, next the Germans are at, the German guys that have been going after dude and for the money. They are at this little restaurant and they are sitting there with this woman and it like they're eating and everything or ordering and it goes down to her foot and it shows that her boot is cut open and she has a wrap around her foot and then it's like bleeding and stuff.
It's like because it was her toe that got cut off.
Yeah.
To make it look like it was Bunny's.
Yeah. We see dude heading out to the mansion. And he's talking to him saying like what his theory is and stuff. Saying the payoff was never going to happen because Lebowski knew that she wasn't actually kidnapped. Just saying like the briefcase that Big Lebowski had given dude didn't even have money in it or something like that.
It's like it was just fake. There's nothing in it. He kept the money for himself.
Yeah. But like because he got Walter to go with them even though it was Saturday in his like day of rest. But as they like pull up to the mansion, they notice that Bunny's red convertible was like ran into the fountain.
Yeah. And she's running around naked.
Yeah.
And Brent's trying to pick up after her.
Yeah. He tells him that that she went to Palm Springs and she just got back. And even though he's telling them no, they just go right on. Walter and Dude go right on to Big Lebowski and are like telling him their theories and stuff and like yelling at him and all that. And Walter is convinced that Big Lebowski isn't even really handicapped, and so he picks him up and throws him on the floor.
And he's like, dude, he really is. Just pick him up.
Yeah. So, they're done there after they put him back in the chair. And they head back to the bowling alley. We see that they're bowling and Donny is bowling first, or I guess first at this point in time. And he misses a strike and he's confused.
So he doesn't miss.
Yeah.
He's like, what is this? And Walter's talking about war, and the dude's not paying attention at all.
Yeah.
He looks like he's painting his nails.
Yeah.
And then you got Jesus walking over. He's irritated they had to change the game to Wednesday.
Yeah. And so the dude, Walter, and Donny are just like, whatever. And then they head out. And they go into the parking lot, and the 3 German guys are coming up, and they've got, like, little weapons in their hands. And a portable radio blasting music. And dude's car is behind him, and it's, like, on fire.
And he's like, really?
Yeah.
It's happened finally.
Yeah. So the German guys are saying, you got to give us the money or we're going to kill the girl. And then dude tells him, well, like, she's already back home. So. And then they're like, well, we don't care. We still want the money. And then there's just like this big fight thing. They just kind of fight.
Yeah, it's like the dude and like Donnie were trying to give him some money, but like Walter's not having it.
Yeah. And so the fight gets done, and they look over, and they see that Donnie is having a heart attack.
He's like,
and so they gotta
the dude's got to call
ambulance.
911, but
Yeah.
it's no avail.
Yep, we see Dude and Walter at a funeral home talking to the guy, and because Donnie passed away, and he was cremated, and they're trying to figure out how to get his remains without paying $160.
For an urn.
Yeah.
They're like, the guy keeps saying, it's like, well, that's like our cheapest one.
Yeah.
And Walter's like, is there a Ralph's nearby? I'm just going to go there.
Yeah. And so we see that's where they went, and they have him in a Folgers coffee can.
Yeah.
Which I thought that was pretty funny. I was laughing at that. Because I wasn't expecting that. But so they are out near like the beach and stuff, and they're Walter's giving his little eulogy, and then he starts shaking the ashes out of the can, but the wind is blowing, so it just blows it back all over Dude's face. And he's like covered in ashes.
That part always makes me laugh. Because the wind's blowing, so it's blowing back, so it's all over the dude.
Yeah. So, they, once again, their motto, fuck it, let's go bowling.
It's a good motto.
They head back to the bowling alley, and they're sitting at the bar. We see a stranger sitting there as Dude comes up and gets a couple beers for him and Walter. And then they're kind of talking and stuff, like, how's it going, stuff. And then Dude walks away, and then we get the stranger breaking the fourth wall and talking to us.
He's like, yeah, I think it's going to be okay for the dude and Walter. You know, he's like, sad to see Donnie go. But there's going to be a little Lebowski soon.
Yeah. And that's the end of the movie.
Yeah, pretty much.
So The music for this is by Carter Burwell. He is known for 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri from 2017, Carol from 2015, Breaking Dawn from 2011, and Fargo from 1996. So we will have him again at least 2 more times. And the first thing he ever worked on was Blood Simple from 1984. Not quite sure what that is, but as far as the music goes, I liked the music in this, even like background music and like pop style music, what would be considered popular music for that time. I enjoyed it all.
There's some great songs.
It worked pretty well for this movie. Just because it's so random and all over the place like this movie is, so I liked the music at least.
I was like, I fit with it, like, you know, like that weird, like, retro feel to it.
Yeah. But yeah, so that's all I got for music. We will be having this guy again, so at least I know that when we have him again, the music will be good, so. So comparison. Like I said, there is a second one, and it's not really even a sequel, it's more of like a spin-off.
Okay.
It's called The Jesus Rolls, and it is about Jesus, the purple suit bowling guy. And to me, this one wasn't even like ridiculous, it was just boring.
Oh.
So he gets out of jail. I don't know if it's the first time or if he's gone back since the movie, but he gets out of jail, and it's basically him and his buddy stealing cars and running all over the state, pretty much. Like, they're just kind of all over the state, stealing cars, having a good time. And it was really just boring. Like, there wasn't much substance to it. I wasn't interested in it. It wasn't even really, like, nothing in that movie made me laugh. And at least in this movie, something, like, a couple of things made me laugh. But the Jesus Rolls, it's not very good. Let me look it up on IMDb here real quick. I'm pretty sure it's low. Yeah, it's got a 4.4 on IMDb. But yeah, it wasn't even, like, as ridiculous as this movie. It was just boring. So I'm really glad that I was doing other things while I was listening to it and watching it, because I don't think that I would have sat down and watched this movie. Because, you know, this one's like got that really ridiculous, crazy, you don't even know what's going on. This one, literally, like, all they're doing is running around stealing cars and having sex with this French woman.
Oh, okay.
It's like all they're doing. So, yeah. It's a no for me. I think for me it was just because it was boring and there wasn't really much to it. I think it's a 2 for me.
Wow.
That one is. There's not really much to it. And I mean, some people may enjoy it. It's all for them, but not for me. So, trivia?
So, the script was written in about 1990, 1991. And they had in mind John Goodman, like, you know, in mind, and Steve Buscemi and Jeff Bridges. Like, you know, they wanted them, but those were so busy because, you know, John Goodman was filming Roseanne. Yeah. And Jeff Bridges was, like, you know, making something else. So they're like, okay, we're going to have to wait. So they did Fargo instead.
Okay.
Which I think I was like, oh, okay, that makes sense. They're waiting on John Goodman and Jeff Bridges to be free so they can do this movie. But they did Fargo, and I mean, they used Buscemi in that, so that was cool. There is 9 White Russians drank in this movie. You're very close.
So that's close. I said 10.
I know. One of them dropped, so technically it was pretty much 10. But, yeah. So I thought this was a cool thing. So to achieve that effect of, like, the rolling ball.
Yeah.
They mounted the camera on, like, a barbecue spit. and like rolled it along. And so then they had to use some like CGI to go with it.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. This one, I was like, well, this makes sense. They were like, when Jeff was reading the screen, like, the screenplay, he's like, did you guys just like hang out with me or just like follow me around when I was younger? Because that's how he was when he was in like high school. He was a surfer dude, like this surfer stoner dude that he was. And he actually wore his own clothing in the movie. That's funny. All his. He owns all of his own clothing in the movie. Still wears most of it around, too.
That's funny.
So, yeah, that's about it.
Okay. So, where it has been on the list before and where it's at right now. So, in 2010, it was number 139. In 2012, it was number 131. In 2014, it was number 142. 2016, number 160. 2018, number 171. And as of today, when we are recording, it is number 184.
It's slipping a little.
Yeah, it's fallen down, but I think it'll kind of stay right around where it's at. Because people really do enjoy this movie.
It's a cult classic.
So yeah. Previously, number 166 in 2010, Finding Nemo from 2003. 2012, How to Train Your Dragon from 2010. 2014, The Thing from 1982. 2016, Fargo from 1996. The 2018 list, The Deer Hunter from 1978. And as of today, when we are recording, Jurassic Park from 1993. So all movies we have or will have. So some of our podcast trivia. Like I said earlier, there were a lot of actors in this that we will be having again and that we have already had. Director-wise, like Jess said, we will be having the Coen brothers again, but this is their first movie on our list. So the actors that we have had already, of course, Philip Seymour Hoffman, we had him, like you said, in Mary and Max. David Thewlis,
yes,
however you say his name. Harry Potter and Deathly Hallows Part 2, but we haven't technically gotten to that one till this summer. But we have had him before in our Harry Potter event.
Yes.
But he will have been on the list. John Goodman, of course. Monsters, Inc., we had him before. And Steve Buscemi, we had him, of course, like we said, in Monsters, Inc. And then some of the other ones that we will be having again, Flea. That's the actor, what he goes by, but his real name is Michael Balzari. We will be having him again. Peter Stormare, we'll have him again. And Warren Keith, we will have him again. So, we'll at least have a few of these actors again. So we'll talk about them once we get to them, once we get to like their bigger movies, when they had bigger parts and stuff. But yeah.
Cool.
So, composer, like I said, this is the first time we've had Carter Burwell, but we will be having him at least 2 more times. This is our only movie at the moment from 1998. We will be having Mulan in our Disney event. That's also from 1998. This is our 4th sport film. Comedy we're up to, with this one, not counting event movies, is 16. And crime with this one is 18.
Wow.
So, yeah. But this is our 4th sports movie. Rocky, $1 Million Baby, and Rush are other ones. And then votes. This is right up there with The Terminator, right around 695,000. So, The Big Lebowski and The Terminator they're kind of running for who gets the most votes there. And then just above it is another John Goodman movie at 700,000. Just above that is Monsters, Inc.
Oh.
So, they're all kind of right there in the same area. And then the only other movie that we've done that had an 82% on Rotten Tomatoes was Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. So that's right there with the Big Lebowski. And then The other ones that had a 71% on Metacritic were Donnie Darko, Ralph Breaks the Internet, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, Hacksaw Ridge, and when we get to it, Mulan.
Oh.
So this is kind of right in the middle of a bunch of movies.
I was like, I think it's in some good company.
I think it's in good company, but I don't think it's a good movie.
True. For you.
Yeah. So yeah, that's all of our podcast trivia. So, favorite line?
Does this place look like I'm fucking married? You're entering into a world of pain. I'm sorry I wasn't listening.
Oh, I wrote that one down too. I say that all the time.
I know. I thought of you when I was like, yep, that's Cat. Well, they finally did it. They fucking killed my car. The dude abides, of course. And this one, where is it? Walter, I love you, but sooner or later you're gonna have to face the fact you're a goddamn moron.
Yeah.
I love that line.
Okay, so mine. Smokey, this is not nom. This is bowling. There are rules. And he and he's yelling at him about the foul. Sure, that and a pair of testicles. When somebody's talking about what makes a man.
Yeah.
She probably kidnapped herself. You're not the only morons here. Of course, I'm sorry I wasn't listening. And then, without a hostage, there is no ransom. You can pick, because I don't care.
I like my last one I said.
What was it?
Walter, I love you, but sooner or later, you're going to have to face the fact you're a goddamn moron.
So, what is your rating?
I give this an 8. It fits well with my 8s. Again, it's a cult classic. You like it or you don't. I've always just liked this movie. It's a little bit out there, and I like movies like that. Again, Jeff Bridges, classic movie for him. John Goodman. Like, you see, like, John Goodman, and you think, like, nice, jolly guy. And then you come in this movie, he's like, what is this nonsense? He's completely different. And I love how, like, versatile he can be.
Yeah.
And, yeah. Overall, it's an 8 for me.
Okay. Is definitely not that high for me. It's a 3 for me.
Go on.
I found a couple of things in it funny. The acting they did really good acting wise. Because, I've seen literally every single one of these people in a different movie. So, their acting was great. Didn't have a problem with that. It's just, it was stupid. It was really stupid. I did not like it. There's not really much good about it, I can say, other than the acting. It was pretty much all I liked. So yeah, that's a 3 for me. So our next film is Finding Nemo from 2003. So that will be out next week. And then the week after that is our Disney event, which the 2 movies that I picked were Lilo and Stitch from 2002 and Oliver and Company from 1988.
And I picked Mulan from 1998 and The Hunchback of Notre Dame from 1996.
So make sure that you check that one out, or those 4 out. They will be out on the 30th, which is a Thursday. And then we are offering premium and Patreon if you would like to become a member. You can do that for as low as $1 a month. The links are in the show notes. We do offer our special monthly episode for premium and patron members. This month it is Star Wars Attack of the Clones, which is one of Jess's least favorite movies. I've already done my 2, so it's time for her second one.
Unfortunately.
If you would like to hear that one and you're not a premium or patron member, you can get it for just $1. And if you can't support us that way, ratings and reviews help us out a lot. help us get new listeners, know what we're doing right, know what we're doing wrong, stuff like that. If you would like to talk to us, we are on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, or you can email us. All the links are in the show notes. And our music is by Audio Binger. You can find him on Facebook, YouTube, and his website, audiobinger.net. So until next time, with Finding Nemo, thank you so much for listening. Bye.
Bye.